Hi. Wait,
Hello.
I'm logging to the portal. Now it's making sounds much. No, right? I was logging in phone and the lab, and I mute the lab.
Okay, Naya, please, can you hear me? I can't see anyone. Yes, you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you. You can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you clearly. I'm asking if I'm.
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you too. No worries.
See
Everything's
you.
fine.
You look great.
Thank you too.
And
May I
thanks
make
so
you
much
host?
for coordinate today's conversation.
Yeah, and if you feel any interruption, just switch off your video and just on the mic and just speak.
Okay,
Okay.
okay. I think that would be great so that interruptions from the network will not affect the
Yeah,
conversation.
yeah, and here too, it's raining.
I really appreciate it. You've been so supportive. I do see you on Twitter, on Facebook. I really, really was looking out
Yeah,
to say a big thank you to you.
because I love this topic. Like I did a discussion on women in politics in Sri Lanka, and I had no idea about the international politics, and I'm looking forward to learn it actually. And I feel so interested. Like when you are going to do a discussion on this topic, it's amazing. Yeah.
Thank you.
May I make you as co-host?
Okay, I don't know if that will be necessary since I will not be sharing the screen.
Yeah, I'm sharing the screen, so I feel like there's no need, no?
Yes, but are you going to be recording the conversation?
Yeah, it's already recording,
Okay.
and yeah, it's already recording, I guess. Yes, it's recording.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, it's up here.
Okay. Let's wait. What's the time now? There, it's morning.
No, it's evening. It's getting to
Oh,
4 p.m.
okay. It's here 8:30, 8:30 p.m. It's
Wow,
night.
that's so late.
Yeah.
And thanks for staying up to do all this.
It's okay. It's our New Year, traditional New Year today. So everyone is enjoying and having fun and putting firecrackers here and there. So so I'm free today. So I felt to do this.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Okay. Just 10 minutes is pending and let's wait.
Okay, yes, 10 minutes left.
Okay.
Okay. And surprisingly, I don't know much about Sri Lanka. I used to have a friend,
Oh,
medical friend who was there, but
wow.
I think he's the only person I know from Sri Lanka. Now I have a new sister, so
Uh,
lonely.
Rooney is also from Sri Lanka.
Okay.
Yeah. She's in our team. I think she recently joined. She joined with me to the Sisters Keepers.
Oh
Yeah,
wow.
yeah, she's so elder than me. I really don't know her, but
Okay, okay, that's a
mm,
good one. Let me see whether, okay.
uh,
Sorry, is the background noise interrupting?
yeah, I don't hear any background noises.
Okay, okay. Oh, let me see. It's quite interesting. How about now?
Yeah, no, fine. Yeah.
Okay, no, I mean, I left something open, so I think maybe the sound is interrupting. I just want to be sure.
Not because actually I don't hear any background noises from you.
Okay, thank you
It's
so
your
much.
voice is clear.
Okay, okay then.
Mm.
Let me see.
How is the political situation in your country like? Is good for women or it doesn't give chances for women?
The political
How
parties,
is
you
it?
mean?
Mm-hmm.
Well, for the two big parties that we have, it's not so
Yeah,
favorable.
same here.
But for smaller parties coming up, we have more representation of women within the party. But in government
Mm,
itself, in the public offices, the number is so,
uh,
so.
I see. Yeah, in Sri Lanka, I know that the first women prime minister was from Sri Lanka, and at her era, there was a good place for women who in politics, but now it's not like even the it's just 12 percentage of women participation in the parliament is really low, and it's so pathetic here. Women, they don't get much chances in politics. It's because of patriarchal society, I guess. And we have like familiarism, like the father to son, the things, everything going like that. So
Oh,
pathetic here.
that's
Yeah.
serious. It means this is a global problem, not just
Yeah,
an African.
of
Maybe like
course,
I
yeah.
think it was an African problem, but hearing
Hmm.
it also what happens around other countries in Europe,
Hmm.
Americas, it's really something we need to keep working on.
Change, yeah.
Yes, hoping it will change.
Mm. Even recently, I joined for some political leadership programs because I really felt interested in those. Because I'm doing social work and talking on social issues. And before I thought like I don't need to talk on politics, so I don't need to study. But then I feel like, oh, I need politics. I need to learn this. Without the politics of Sri Lanka, I can't work here. I need that.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah,
So that's how it works best there then.
yeah.
Oh, interesting.
I think now,
Hopefully in the
yeah,
next 10, it's going to
yeah,
change.
yeah, of course. I guess many will join around on time, 8:30 here. Let's see, we have just 4 minutes.
Okay. Okay, just few minutes left, I guess.
Yeah,
Okay. I'll try my best to speak within the stipulated time so that we will not
yeah,
exceed
hopefully you
the.
can do it. Exactly, you can do it. But it's really hard to talk within an hour, right? Within an hour, like to minimalize everything and all.
But I'll try. I'll try.
Yeah.
What's this? Okay.
Anyway, I feel like better to make you also has co-host because it's the recording it. How do they put it? You also has a
Okay.
hmm. You will get notification of admitting people. Just don't do it. I will do it from here because you are co-host now.
Oh, okay. What is going on here? Okay.
Hi, Julian. Hi, Aide. Hi. Chicas, shall we stay another 2 minutes and start this discussion? After that, just 2 minutes. Is it okay?
Yes, very okay.
Okay. Okay, so everyone is joining, so I think it's better to start and let me welcome you all. Good morning and good evening, my dear sisters and everyone who joined our discussion today. We are so excited to have you join our Sister Keepers monthly discussion and welcome everyone. I am Nilupuli Nayanatara, Zahara's team Sister Keepers from Sri Lanka. And today we have our very own Chikas Kumle, who is part of our Sister Keepers team. And she's going to take us through the topic of why representation matters when it comes to inclusion of women in politics and leadership. So Chikas Kumle is a politician and women's rights activist. So my dear sisters and everyone who joined our discussion today. If you have any question, comments, please kindly write it down on the comment box. And thank you very much and welcome, chicas. The platform is open for you now.
Thank you so much, Na. I want to start by appreciating everyone and say from good morning, afternoon, good evening to our sisters from wherever you're connecting. I really look forward to so much excitement, not just because of the topic, it's a buzzing topic and it's a conversation that's happening everywhere, but because of the urgency of having women on every decision-making table. And once we talk about inclusion of women, it's not just inclusion of women in politics, but inclusion of women on boards, in businesses, in court, in media. And so I would like to also take permission to take off my camera after reading out the outline to avoid interruptions with the network so that we can have a very smooth conversation. So thank you once again for having me on this call today. And sincerely, can we have this? Okay, can we have a full screen of the slides for easy, yeah, for easy reading?
Let me know that presentation no, it's not working. It's already in the first page.
I don't know if going to be readable to all participants, but in order to save time, thank you once again for moderating the conversation, and thanks so much for having me to lead the conversation. So today's topic is women in politics and leadership and why representation matters. And for the outline of today's conversation, we are going to have the background of it, and then we'll look into why women are underrepresented in politics. Then we go into the opportunities for women in politics. After which we look into why representation of women in politics and leadership matters. And lastly, we'll have women who have risen in politics. So we're going to have examples across continents to see women who have shown great capacity in politics and in leadership. So politics as we know it, it is the most powerful system in the world. It affects you. I always like to say it affects whether I take part in it or not. And so it is a conversation that's important for women to have daily, or like it should be on daily basis, that we should have this conversation because of the primacy and importance of what politics and the role it plays in our lives. So politics being a game of number shows that despite the 7.8 billion population of people in the world, the number, hello, something is interrupting.
Yeah, Chickens, can you switch off your video and talk, please?
Yes, I just did that. Can you mute the participants? Can you mute all the participants so we don't have background noise interrupting? So politics, like I mentioned, it is a powerful system in the world that affects you whether you take part in it or not. And today, despite the 7.8 billion population of the world, we've continued to see the insignificant number of women in politics. And these numbers are not adding up on decision-making tables. And so the full and equitable participation of women in public life is essential to building and sustaining strong, vibrant democracies. And democracy, from its definition, is a government of the people, for the people, and by the people. As such, the non-representation of women, who make up 50% of the entire population, makes most democracies across the world insufficient. And the meaningful participation of women at the national, local, or community level of leadership has become a very important global focus for development of policies and for increased recognition of the untapped capacity and talents of women. So whenever we know in general private or public life, whenever there are challenges, it is always a room for solutions and a room for opportunities. And we've known that over the years, for decades, men have been in charge. And now there's a new hunger for new ideas across the world. There's a hunger for a new perspective. New ideas on the table are needed to transform the lives of citizens. As such, it is now important to have women on these conversations, because it's not just for the fact that women are needed because of their gender, but they are needed because they are going to bring in better capacity, better ideas, and a greater perspective to addressing the challenges that people face. And you know, there's this general belief that when things get messed up, it is the women that you call them up to clean it up. So we've seen this, especially in African countries, with emergence of women as heads of interim governments. We've seen this in Burundi, we've seen this in the Central African Republic, we've seen this also in Liberia, where Africa recorded its first elected female president after 10 years of civil war, which then goes to explain the fact that wherever there's conflict, which is not supposed to be a good example, wherever there's conflict or war, people tend to look out for the next option. Okay, what have we not done yet? And in most societies, people now seek for women to come and lead them, having seen that the men have failed. And I need to point this out clear in this conversation, that anytime we're advocating for women to be on the table, it is not a call to say we hate men, or to say we're tired of men, but to say that we've seen so much that men have done, and it is time now for women to complement their own efforts. And so for this very conversation, I would like to use Nigeria as a case study. So we'll have an in-depth look of what it really looks for, what it looks out, and what it portrays for women in politics in Nigeria. Because Nigeria is the populous Black country in the world, and it has a population of over 200 million people, which is quite a huge population. And from that number, 49.9% of it are women. But the country continues to record a very low representation of women in political offices. For example, we have only 11 women out of the 360 House of Representatives seats. And then we have only 8 women out of 109 senatorial seats. While on our ministerial cabinet, we have only 7 out of 43 members of cabinet. So this is really showing us how, as a country, we're doing poorly in terms of representation of women. And as we speak now, the country is yet to have a female governor, a female Senate president, a vice president, or a president. And so we've seen also with the consistent decline of women in offices since 2011. And it's of good to note that Nigeria returned to democratic regime in 1999. And so we've practiced consistent and uninterrupted democracy here for over 21 years. And all through these years, we've never had over 10% of women's representation. And there are a couple of factors that are responsible for this. And we've also seen similarities to what is happening in Nigeria, happening across the globe, happening in countries that are even advanced, that are perceived to be advanced in democracy. So for some of the challenges that women have been faced with that have stopped them from having their voices heard on political tables. First one here, we have discriminatory sociocultural and religious interpretations, which forbid women from taking leadership roles and having their opinion on issues that affect the society. You know, we are a patriarchal society. We're a very religious people, and we have deep-rooted traditional and cultural beliefs that for some has made it so difficult for women to be recognized for who they are. It is either you're seen on the lens of your gender, or you're seen on the lens of the gender roles you play in the home and not beyond the home front. And that has made it so difficult for women to actively engage in the political space. But again, having all of those barriers, I also need to point out here that we have different regions in the country where you get to see women doing better in some regions as compared to others because of the level of education, because of their traditional beliefs and other issues that they hold so dear. And the interpretations about the religions, as we all know, so happens that we have the imams, we have the pastors, the sheikhs, all happening to be men. And you know, once it is the men that are in charge, they are going to be speaking from the point of favoring the men. For example, I have a friend who is a Muslim. She told me that she once engaged with an imam and asked him why they are not telling the men the truth, because in both the Quran and the Bible, there were no places that were clearly stated that women should not be seen or heard. But the imam told her that they are basically doing all of that to please the men. So you see, these are some of the things about interpretations. People are moving away from the actual message that is being preached, from the actual message that has been written in the holy books, to interpret it in a way that best suits them. And so, but again, we're having to see some other religious bodies now bringing in women as bishops, as heads of different departments in the church. And so that, I believe, will help in the recognition of women at cultural and religious fronts. So another challenge that is stopping women is the lack of finance, because politics is very expensive. Politics is expensive everywhere in the world. And sadly, every process in Nigeria's politics is heavily influenced by money, from the consultation stage to when you're going to be on the field, to your conversations with the people in groups or in rallies and all of it. All of this process is heavily influenced by money. And there's this wrong perception that once you're running for office, it then means that you have enough money to squander. And so people get to look out for how much they are going to get from you. And from my experience of running for office, I've had several times where I was engaging with the electorate, and the people were not even asking what it is I have to do for them, or what's the capacity I have to proffering their solutions to issues that are bedeviling them. But all they are looking out for is, what can we get? And that is a very, very bad example of how the electorate should engage politicians, because it then leaves the game to be for the money bags. If you don't have enough money, then we're not voting for you. So at the end of the day, we have leaders who get elected into offices because of how much money they have to spend, and not for their own capacity to lead. And in this conversation, we're talking about leadership. And leadership, we know that everything rises and falls on it. So if we don't have people understand the primacy of leadership, people understanding how important it is to have good people in leadership positions, then this issue of finance will continue to hit the women, because we know that women have the capacity to lead. But if it is about the game of money game, like it is being seen in politics, then women will continue to be sidelined. And also, there's this wrong perception about women in politics. You know, destructive criticisms, stereotyping, name calling. And again, when I ran for office, you would see this verbal and online harassment, because I did not witness a physical violence in the sense of what other female politicians experience. But because people believe if you are in politics, then you are a prostitute. In fact, you have some cases where people will just, from the crowd, just say very nasty things to you. But I always say this to women and to young women, that all of this will always come, but be resolute. Know that in this game, some people will use all available means to see that they discourage you, to see that they say things that will get you back into your shell. But you must be determined, you must be committed, and also know that you are in this race to offer leadership. And once you know that, then it will be difficult for all other measures through which they are using to attack you, to stop you. And so we also see some of the unhealthy practices, like the violence that I earlier on mentioned. We've seen violence before, during, and after elections. A friend of mine narrowly escaped death when she went on her rally. And from my own immediate constituency, because I've been a youth leader in the local government and engaging with the young people, it has made it easier for me to have these young people that are mostly, they are most likely to be used to perpetrate this violence. I always have to find means to engage with them, to tell them about the dangers of the use of violence as young people in elections, and also to help them to see that I'm also one of them. I'm a young person. And so we need to challenge the status quo. So even while I went on my campaigns from wards to units, and in some cases, door to door, I have instances where these young people tell me, Auntie, you don't need to go to this place at this time because we were told to come and attack you. And so you see that this rate of violence is not just something that happens because we are women. It also happens to men themselves. Because sometimes when we're having these conversations about the unhealthy political environment, women tend to think that it's only about the violence being meted on women, but men also face this. And so this unhealthy environment is so difficult to have women. It's so difficult to convince women to participate in it because they are scared. And then, naturally, women were not violent. And so we don't go out deploying talks or mobilizing people to go and destroy properties or to attack people just because we want to make a political statement. And so the political environment is one of the key challenging area that stops women from engaging effectively in politics. Again, we have lack of internal party democracies, like the gross impunity that we see with the use of abuse of power by influential politicians. And that's where godfatherism comes in. A very powerful politician, someone that probably has been bankrolling the party, someone that has been funding the party, making clear points about having someone to be a candidate in an election or forcing delegates in an election to vote for a particular candidate, not considering whether the person is qualified or the person has the capacity to lead in any way. So this level of impunity, as seen over time, discourages women, because women, a lot of times when you engage them, they don't have godfathers, and we don't have godmothers in politics. And this, I believe, is because over time we've not had enough women in high positions of authority who can come out to say that this is what they want. And to also point out that I am not in support of godfatherism, but this is an existing factor that discourages women, especially in Nigeria's politics. One other area is that women themselves lack the interest and the willingness to run for office. Because yes, it is one thing to have a conversation about having men to allow women to participate in politics, but women themselves need to pick up the interest, because this is a system where you can't force somebody to be in it. And so we need to have conversations about having women pick up the interest of being in politics itself, because you must engage in politics before you think of running for office. So if we don't have the women having the interest, you can't force it out on them. So this is an important point that I feel on this call and further conversations will help women to see why they need to engage in politics. And that's where the point of the second section of our conversation of the importance of women, or why representation matters. I believe from that point, we're going to have more women begin to engage the system. And then insufficient confidence and encouragement for women is also a factor that's stopping women from engaging in the political space. What I mean here is, if you're talking of supporters, if you're talking of like an in-house support that most men do have, women don't have it. Because in most cases, if a woman stands out to say she wants to run, even from her family members, some people will discourage her. And so that insufficient support base that women have is discouraging them. And also once you have people not supporting you, it rolls out your confidence. And in this game, you need to be confident to engage in it, because it is really a tough game. And I'm not saying this deliberately to scare anyone, but politics is what it is. And so women need to be confident. You need to have enough self-confidence to engage in it, because in the course of it, politics can swing you to areas you don't even envision. So without the confidence, it will make it a little bit difficult for you. But once you're confident, whatever comes, rain, come shine, you will still be strongly engaging in it. And one thing about running for office is that it is a game of power. So you don't expect power to be given to you on a platter of gold. Wherever there is a power struggle, you have to be all out struggling for it. And even the men struggle out to get these positions. And so anytime I'm opportune to speak to women, to young women, I always tell them that women are already coming from a disadvantaged point. As such, we need to build an extra support base for them, so that even the call to have them run for office will be easy for them. Because you might have the home support base, but once you have all the challenges that I've mentioned above and others that do come with running for office, if you have all of that and you don't have an extra support base, it's going to be really difficult. And so again, I will say that we are not emphasizing on all these issues in a way to scare women, but to tell them about the reality on ground. But all is not doomed for women, because there are opportunities for them in politics. First, we've seen these gender quotas, which is now a widespread policy tool that strengthens female political representation across countries. In some countries, they've attained 60% representation of women, like in Rwanda. We also have African countries that are doing very well, like Senegal and other West African countries who have shown in recent times that women can exceed the 35% call for representation. And so what these gender quotas does, it depends on what policy every country is adopting. In some countries, they have the representation as a zebra crossing, where if the man is a president, then the vice president should be a woman. Or if the governor is male, then the deputy governor should be female. And so this zebra crossing and other quotas that exist helps the representation of women in politics. And at the moment, we are currently having a conversation with women organizations in Nigeria and the National Assembly to see how these gender quotas will be adopted. Because over the years, women have been advocating to have their numbers increase, but because of some of these issues like we've mentioned, it has become increasingly difficult. So we're looking up to the government to see how the National Assembly will adopt this quota system, because the quota system makes it easier to have women in power. And there are also many organizations now that are offering and providing technical and financial support to women to help strengthen their political participation and and involvement in decision-making processes. And so, we've mentioned the issue of finance. We've mentioned the lack of capacity of women to run. But now we have organizations that are coming in to bridge those gaps, having seen that it is important to empower and arm women with all of these things, and also providing them financial support. It is very important to have women have some strong financial support to engage the polity. Because I mentioned also that the expensive nature of politics is a global issue. It's not just in Nigeria, or it's not just an African thing. Everywhere in the world, politics is expensive. And again, some of the opportunities is that there's now an increased awareness and strategies to ensure that more women are involved at the local, national, and international level, with more conversations about women in leadership. And so, you know, when we're talking about women's positions, women's number on the seats, we're not just talking about having them at the top. It is a conversation that would cover from top to bottom, or bottom to top, to ensure that at every strata of the society, at every strata of leadership, women are adequately represented. So yes, we have some challenges that we do face as women, but we also have good opportunities, especially for the last fact, for the last point that I've written here, that the United Nations itself, its Sustainable Development Goal 5, which is gender equality, has highlighted the need for women to have equal access to opportunities and privileges. And so we know a lot of countries do listen and they pay attention because they are member states at the United Nations. They do adopt the policies that are being put out there, and they go back to their own states and countries to ensure that they implement all those decisions and treaties that they sign into at the national level. So part of this conversation, I believe, is one of what is availing women opportunity to know more about politics, how to engage in it, and I believe we're going to have more of it. So I'm going to pause here and ask this question, so we get the conversations interactive. So my first question will be, what are some of the challenges and opportunities for women in politics in your country? Please, Maya, can you moderate the...
Yes. So, dear sisters, you can unmute yourself and give answers. Okay, I will tell the situation of Sri Lanka. You know, like we have the first women prime minister, women prime minister, and her name was Miss Sirimavo Bandaranaike. And in her era, there was a good background for women who in politics, and but now everything has changed, and I really don't know the reason, but I think that because of this patriarchal situation, the society, and also the gender masculinity. So I think those two are the main reason why women can't move into politics in my country, in Sri Lanka. Yes, Chikas, you can continue the discussion.
Thank you, Naya, for that. And it's good to know that Sri Lanka has had a female prime minister before, for which it's still a long call and a hope for so many countries to attain that. So we hope to see more women in government in Sri Lanka and other countries. And to the second part of our conversation, to why representation of women matters. Yes, we want women to be in politics. Yes, we want women to be leaders, but why do we need women? And why does it matter? Because it is not just a conversation about the population, but what has the other second half of the population to offer. So we're going to be looking at why the representation of women matters. Representation, as we all know it, is important in a number of ways, which are to strengthen our democracy and have people who make laws to be a true reflection of its citizens. As we know it, in many countries, politics remains that process which avails people the opportunity to vote in their leaders. And so if democracy, it is about the people and for the people, then we need to have a true reflection of those citizens. We need to have women on the table, we need to have youths on the table, and we need to have people living with disability. And so once the call for women to be on the table is up, it is for the sole reason of saying that we strengthen our democracy. And secondly, it improves the capacity for analysis and development of public policies. In the development of policies, you bring in so many considerations. You should not just have one-sided representation on the table, whereby men will be talking about issues that affects everyone. But once you bring in women there, they are bringing in a different perspective, because issues, for example, like availability of water, healthcare services, childcare services, and other issues, women relate to those things firsthand. And so once you have women on that table, there will be a drastic change in the policies that are being drafted and also in the implementation of those policies. Because it's still going to bring us to some of the issues I mentioned, like issues of health. In some countries like Nigeria, we still have the child mortality issue, we still have poor health services. And then if you bring a woman who experienced this firsthand, going to address it differently. She knows what it feels like to be pregnant and not have those facilities in place. She also knows how and what it feels like to have a child fall sick, take him to the health center, bring him back, not having the right services rendered. And so if we have women on those tables, all of these things will receive the kind of attention that they deserve. And also the increased economic empowerment and opportunities for women, which is the gender equality struggle. It is being stated that it has the potential to generate $28 trillion, which is bigger than the economy of China and US respectively, which then means that the call to have more women, it is a call to increase the world's capacity for economic empowerment of everybody. Because if half of the population are left behind, then believe you me, the entire population is not doing well. And this will bring about the huge reduction in poverty rates. And also, policy changes that affects everyone will be prioritized. Women are known to be empathic. Women are known to be very passionate about issues that they care about. And so once we have women on these tables, it's going to bring about massive change. And there will be clear difference about how decisions are taken and how they are implemented. Recently, I saw a picture of a woman from one of the states where she was going on foot from one community to the other, taking assessment of villages and places where there's no drinking water. And then you begin to ask and wonder, have the men not been there? Or all these years that they've been there, what were they doing? But looking at this time around, they have a woman. She knows the pain. She knows what it feels like to be in a house and not have potable drinking water, to be in a house and not have water to do your domestic chores. So this has also highlighted the fact that if we bring in women, we're not just bringing them in because we want to see different faces, but because they understand the issues more deeply. And also, when we have more women on the table, the confidence of young women will be built, because there's a very, very huge implication of images. Once a young girl sees that her president is female, it builds that confidence in her to know that, yes, tomorrow she can go to be like her. And then seeing that more women are involved in decision-making table will also help girls to become vocal about issues that they care about at a very young age. And we know these things happen over time. You don't wake up one day and become the person that you are. It happens over time. So once we get more women on the table, it will help to bring and build the confidence of young girls to know that, yes, they can be leaders and that their voice matters on this table. And also, women are known to be very, very passionate about fighting for a better future for their children. This is a very obvious fact for this simple reason that women are nurturers. They get pregnant, they give birth to children, they nurture them from childhood to adulthood. So it's only normal to say that they will be more concerned about how the life of this child turns out. So as many times as we get involved in arguments, in conversations, and pointing out to people why we need this, it is a call for a general benefit of everyone. Like, this is not a call for just the girls. It is not just a call for the women. It is a call for everyone, because women give birth to boys, girls, and boys grow up to become men. So with the increased number of women on decision-making tables, it then means that we're increasing the capacity of the society to react to issues that affects everybody. And also, why this representation matters, because it provides recognition and validation for women. Because yes, you can be in a place like there was a time I was at a town hall meeting. There were other women there, but from the start to the end of the town hall meeting, no woman was allowed to say anything, not even the prayers. And so at the end of the day, it looked as if we are not part of the society. And even when we try to raise our hands to be recognized, to say one or two things, we were not even given the chance. And that is a little bit discouraging, like especially if you are having younger women there. It is a sign, and it's also a call to them to see this is something that we really need to stand against. Because once you are at a place and then it make it like you are not important, your ideas, your decisions, your voice is not important, then it's something that we need to really wake up to address. And apart from the recognition that it gives to women, it also validates their existence as human beings. Uh, for all that we know, the society that we live in now, we're struggling with issue of gender equality on different quarters, like on different fronts. And so once we have women in power, it will have a ripple effect on all other sectors, because the decisions of government affects every other thing that we do. And so it is important to have women on this table, because it will validate their existence and also validate their voice in shaping decisions that are made for the good of everybody. And also, statistics have shown that women are less corrupt. Issue of corruption, people looting resources that are for the good of everybody, women are less corrupt. And I will say this confidently everywhere, because once a woman is in power, she will come in there with the knowledge that a lot of women before her were denied this opportunity. And so it is time for her to step up and make sure that she performs excellently well in order not to close the door on others. And so in those cases, you hardly have women looting resources for themselves. And again, because women are naturally born leaders, it's difficult for a woman to see someone dying on the streets without food, without water, and all other things, or not even having access to basic amenities of life and look away. Women are known to be very caring. And so once we have them on this table, then all of these issues of corruption will drastically reduce, because issues of corruption happens across board. Sometimes when we have conversations about corruption, people get to measure, oh, it's Nigeria, oh, it's Africa, but it's a global thing. And countries that have had more women in power, we've seen more deployment of resources for the good of everyone. And that shows clearly that women are not self-centered and they are not very selfish in issues of the use of commonwealth for their own personal gains. And also for fair play, it is a good thing to see that people are recognized for who they are. And also, like I mentioned about the representation of women and people living with disability and young people, if truly we are practicing democracy, then it is fair to have all these voices on the table. So for the simple reason of having women who constitute half of the population is not just an act of it's not just an act of pity for the women, but an act of justice, that they have an equitable seat, an equitable representation on those tables. And lastly, women invest more in education, sanitation, and the environment. I've seen this firsthand with the engagement I've had with women that hold different political offices. Some of them even go outside their own responsibilities to ensure that girls have access to education. Because in many quotas, once you get the statistics of the number of, once you get the statistics of out of school children, you see that girls are in the majority. And so most women who happen to be in power tend to take this as a personal project to ensure that more investments are made in education, and issues about sanitation and women having access to facilities around schools that helps girls to stay in school, especially on their monthly periods. These are things that women pay more attention to, because a man doesn't go through all of this, so he doesn't know how this impacts the lives of girls. And so for all of this and many more, women tend to pay more attention to these issues. And also, I would like us to go into the last part, which is to have and look into examples of women who have risen in politics and leadership. And we've seen all across board that women are now breaking the boys' club of presidency and having their place in top political offices around the world. And generally, we are not where we want to be, but we are far from where we used to be. And here are a few examples of the women we've had. We currently have. We have Angela Merkel of Germany. We have Kamala Harris, Vice President in the United States. We have Hillary Clinton, who was the first woman to become a major candidate of a political party. we have Nancy Pelosi, the speaker, and then most recently, we have Okonjo-Iweala, who became the Director General of the World Trade Organization. We have Christine Lagarde, who was the IMF boss, and we have Jacinta Ardern. So these women, among the many women we've had, have made their own mark in politics and in leadership positions. And a lot of times when conversations like this are on, they are used as the examples to why women should be given the space, because they perform excellently well in all their responsibilities. And also, they are the images that young people and young girls need to see every day to understand that, yes, a woman's place is in leadership, that a woman's place is in a place of authority. And also, we've not just seen examples with these women, but we have women at the grassroots who are daily expressing and showing leadership skills. And this has shown to us that, yes, the conversations that we're having about gender equality now is helping to shape the perception of women, of people, and of women themselves about why they should be in leadership. And this continuous conversation is also helping people to understand that women are truly ready to increase their number on all decision-making tables. And we know that when women thrive, everyone benefits. So the last question we'll be taking for the day will be, what other steps do you think we need to take in order to increase the number of women in politics and leadership? Naya, please, can you take this?
Yeah. So, dear sisters and everyone, it's your time to answer this question. Please unmute yourself and give your answers, please.
Hi, chicas. Hi, Naya. That's Irene
Hi.
from Italy. Thank you, chicas. This was a great presentation, and I really enjoyed it a lot. And I can relate to some things you said. I mean, looking at my country, Italy, I also see that representation of women in politics is not really acceptable, let's say, because I can't remember of any prime minister that was a woman, or even higher positions are always go to men. Even now, I can only think of one woman who is the head of a party, of a political party. But yeah, I can see that some women are reaching higher and higher positions, but still that's not enough. And I think they have to struggle more than their male counterparts to get there. And I think this may be linked to some perceptions that are still present in the society at large. For instance, that some sectors or ministries are not fit for women. Let's say defense. I know of some women who recently ran for office in those areas, and they were saying that they struggled because seeing a woman as a boss in the Ministry of Defense can be sometimes challenging. And I also think that society is not really supporting women in that sense, because women are still struggling to combine their role as nurturers and moms and caregivers, and the fact that politics require long hours of work and even traveling. And even though they are willing to do so and they are committed and they run for office, knowing this, I think society would still, like you were saying at the beginning, kind of not supporting or even questioning why they want to do that, and that can affect their self-esteem or even their perception of their confidence. Yeah, and I just wanted to say that, and one good thing that I've seen recently is that women are actually creating associations and even mentoring programs where they are supporting each other, especially in what relates to international affairs and security, which is a great step forward. So thank you very much. And in order to increase the number of women in politics, I think what I've just said, creating associations and supporting each other can be a good first step. Thank you.
Thank you, Irene.
Hi, everyone. Good evening from here, Nigeria. I just want to make one point. I will be creating. Okay. Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you.
I should go ahead. Hello.
Yes, you can.
Yes, please continue.
Okay. Oh, mine will be creating awareness in lower levels. I'm a student, and the level of ignorance of women participation in leadership is quite immense in universities. And I think it's because we have cultural stereotypes that women shouldn't get involved. And I think once we start tackling these issues from university level, from high school level, enlightening younger women about the importance of leadership at that point when they go out to the society. I think these discussions are always done on a higher level, while we have younger women who are actually ignorant. They believe that a woman shouldn't get involved, that the space of the woman is not in leadership. The woman should always only not get involved. So I think once we go back more about the importance of leadership and their inclusion, we'll have more women into society involved in leadership and politics. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I will add my answer to like when I go like in political leadership program, like, and some men say that politics is not women's subject, or politics have less knowledge on politics, so why they are doing politics. It's so pathetic. And I think in a country like Sri Lanka or in Asian countries, we really need to include this political knowledge or subject into school system or curriculum. Then we can have some kind of impact. And Chicas, please continue the discussion, please. Chicas, are you there with us? I can't hear you because your mic is mute. It seems like Chicas left the meeting. Oh no, she's there. Hi, Chicas.
Sorry, I went off. The network was a little bit
Okay,
bad.
okay.
And thanks so much, sisters, for your contributions. I believe continuous awareness is very important. Like you mentioned, people thinking, like one of the sisters mentioned about people thinking that topic about politics is not for women. And Quincy also talked about why it's important to have Sorry, can you hear me?
Okay, we can hear you now.
Okay. So that's that. And a few points I would like to add here is, you know, when we are talking about politics, it's not just about involving women just to be active in it to run for office, but being active in every process of it is very important, because most times when you tell women, okay, why don't you join this policy, they'll tell you, no, I can't run for office. So politics is not all about running for office. There's so much that runs within the political party structures, and so much that comes with appointing women. So unless you are active, you will not be appointed. So women need to understand that point, that if we are calling on them to engage in politics, it's not only about running for office. Yes, running for office is important, but it's not all about it in politics. And women need to master the game, just as the men are doing it. And most times when the men are compensated, that's the language we use here, for their active participation, that's when we get to see women complaining that they have not been appointed. So we need them to understand that their participation will, the salary and everything they've done in. I would say that politics times we need to have this at the back of our minds, because decisions that are made in politics affects everybody. We all cannot, but we can all pay attention to politics. Closing, I would like to quote Michi, can ever flourish if it deprives itself of the contribution of half its citizens. So the representation of women really matters, and we need to have more women talking about this in order to increase our number on the decision-making table. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chikas, for sharing your valuable knowledge and experience. I really learned lot, and it's the time of Q&A. And um, we have a question actually. Chiku, you can unmute yourself and ask your question. And yeah.
Good evening, chicas from, Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. We just saw in our first female president. She was the first vice president. So I think this is a milestone in terms of East Africa. I would only like to echo something that maybe I've noted, is that sometimes I've seen that even if we have women in these political spaces, they do not root for women's empowerment or women's agenda. And from one of there's a trade union leader who said that the majority of the women in the trade unions are women, but all the political spaces, the top hierarchy are men. So what the men do is, they said they do is divide and rule. So I think she mentioned that women should know how to also play the game. If in turn that we need also to know how to play the game. What strategic plans can the women who are already in these political spheres do, or in order for them also to have, let's say, to have a right footing, so that they can also pull on board other women. Thank you.
Thank you, Chico and Chicas. It's your time.
Thank you, Chiku, for that question. Well, what you're experiencing there is not far from what's happening here in Nigeria, because there was a time we were having this conversation and someone said that for the few number of women that we've had, what are the practical steps that they have deployed to ensure that they increase the number of women? Because, once you are appointed, you get to have the capacity to appoint others as well. So when you have a woman being appointed maybe as a minister or she's a senator, and then she now appoints her aides as male, it then means that she's giving those male the opportunity to explore what happens at the political doors and also within the political corridor. And also she's exposing them to her own network. And what I understood from the conversation that time was that women need to have deliberate strategies and measures to see that we increase the number of women using the advantage that we already have. And your question directly relates to the conclusion of the conversation we had that day, that women need to design and form a very strong political campaign points where they are not campaigning or rooting for the inclusion of women from the political party points, but to have that this is an agenda for women. In essence, what I'm saying is that women should not play the game the way the men play it. If a man plays it, he tends to bring in people strictly from his own political party. But if a woman is given the opportunity and she looks across board, irrespective of political party, and brings in a woman that has the capacity to become her aide or cover in some political offices that are available, then it will help. So women need to be deliberate and need to play that part differently. I believe that if we have the gender issue as the agenda, it will help, rather than saying we are strictly going to look into people that are within our party. Men have the numbers to play around with that, but women, we don't have the numbers. So we have to be taking different measures. And again, we need people that are already in power should be the voice speaking. Because once you're outside and you're speaking, it is difficult. But once you're on the table, you are respected, you're heard. And then once you're on the table, you also know some of the strategies that politicians themselves use to have policies implemented or to have their agenda achieved. So women need those that are already in power, champion cause of women. That would be that we're coming from an aggressive, because someone said we're out all these issues because we're not in it. But that should not be seen as such. It should be seen that women who are already on the table are seeing the need to have more women. For example, if you're in parliament and you need to push a bill for issues like child care issues, child right acts, it is women that tend to pay more attention to that. And if you don't have enough number of women in parliament to push for that bill to be signed into law, believe you me, it's going to be difficult to have that bill signed in law at the end of the day. So having more women in strategic positions, in parliaments, in executive positions, directly will result into a very advanced and more improved way of delivering to the people. Thank you.
Thank you, chicas. And so, do we have any questions? Because time is running out, so it's time to say goodbye. Before that, actually, yeah, we can commit for another question. Okay, so we have so many interesting comments on the comment box, and thank you so much, everyone. And chicas, thank you so much sharing your valuable knowledge and experience. I not myself, we everyone learned a lot, and I hope all sisters will agree with me on this. And thank you, chicas, and thank you, everyone. Have a nice day. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Well done. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.